Hello everybody, it is Tuesday the 27th of May. Before I start, I received a donation this weekend via PayPal, and thank you so much. You really saved my bacon. My bacon is being saved over and over again by these donations because I am up to my eyeballs in trouble financially. And actually not, most of it not self-inflicted, it's need that cannot be met by what we earn. Now, really, I'm not asking for donations, I usually don't, but it is helpful. And I'm not asking for donations like many do, support my channel. No. My channel is something on the internet, it does not need money. Yeah? Support me in spreading the word. No. The only way you can support me in spreading the word is by pressing the like button or by sharing the video. The word does not need money. It needs others to spread it, but not money. So if I say, send me money and support, that is talking about me. You're supporting me, the person. But here it is, the word is coming out of my mouth, and if I, as a person, do not exist, the word can no longer come out of me. So, yeah, you are supporting me, not the channel, not the word, me. So if you want to do that, please feel free to do so. It will be appreciated, and it is actually needed. Right, so leave it at that. Right, what I want to talk about today, again, is the fall of Lucifer. It was actually not so much the fall of Lucifer as the fall of consciousness. I want to show you this here. From the level of man to being angelic. Yeah, I've heard somebody say, apparently Steiner said, and I have not found that passage yet where Steiner actually said that. Quite often people, create quotes and then they put them into the mouth of somebody that has already been listened to, like Steiner, to lend weight to what they themselves are saying. So I don't know that Steiner actually said that. But apparently somebody said that we are all destined to become angelic. And whoever told me this was all in a flutter. Yeah? Oh, how wonderful. Humanity is destined to become angelic. The level of an angel, the level of consciousness of an angel is actually below the level of man. That's a fall. That's not going up in the world or in the cosmos. I want to show you this here and what the fall actually was. Because you are really being told the whole thing the wrong way around. And I want to start really with the creation story because again I've heard it and I read it again just now. The story of when God says let's create man in our image, in our likeness, and then the creation of Adam from the dust of the earth. That is the same story told twice, and it's not. Those are two different things. And to be quite honest, if in the Bible you have two different stories, they usually mean two different things. By putting it all into the pot and saying it's all the same, it's all one big oneness, and you do not see the separate working parts, then you do not understand what is said there. And we must understand. Because what is happening at the moment in this world is biblical. People say that. They say, oh, it's biblical. They feel it's biblical. On an intuitive level, they know it's biblical. But they're not looking into the workings of the Bible to see how it is biblical. Because it is absolutely biblical. People have fallen from the level of man to the level of angel in this world. Their consciousness has fallen. Anyway, creation story. So in the first creation story, when God says, let's create man in our image, in our likeness, so that man will subdue nature, so that man will have dominion over the fowl and the animals and whatever, that is having dominion over the levels below the level of man. Yeah, level of consciousness. Those are levels of consciousness below the level of man. And to have dominion over the world. Now when God says, let's create man in our image, that means to be like us. That means God himself has got that intention. God himself has the intention of ruling over the levels of consciousness that are below him. So man becomes like God in that desire to rule over that which is below him, to have dominion over that which is below him. So that is what the first creation story says. But then the level of man already exists. When God says, let's create man in our image, that means the level of man exists. The level of consciousness that is man exists. Whereas in the second creation story, when God says, let us create man from the dust of the earth, means the level of man doesn't actually exist yet. So when they came to earth, the level of man, of consciousness that is man, did not exist, and they created it. They artificially created that level of consciousness. And once that level is created, the first story kicks in again. Now that man is created, let us create him in our image. Give him the desire to rule over everything that is below him, beneath him. That's what they say, it's beneath me. It's not actually, it's different from you, but it all fulfills a function, but that is a different story. So those are the two creation stories, and they do not say the same thing. And to see ourselves correctly in that story, we must see what we are in that story. First of all, we were created from the dust. And once we were created from the dust, reached the level of consciousness that is man, then God began working on us with his second plan. Let's make man in our image. That is what is happening. Now, what is the level of man? It's not a being. It is the level of consciousness inside of the being. It's a level of consciousness. It's not a form as such, not a solid form. So if there are other worlds with other beings, those levels of consciousness will most likely exist in other worlds. All the levels of consciousness, maybe the mineral, the vegetative, the animal, the man, and God. So what's the difference? Man is self-conscious. Man has got knowledge of the physical to an extent, which is actually what put man to the top of the food chain in this world. But it is the knowledge of the physical. And again, being creative with the physical. Knowledge of the physical in order to create out of it something. Machines, buildings, whatever way it is, we're creating. Works of art, poetry. That's also created out of, well, not poetry, that's not physical, but works of art, yeah. So that's man. But as I said, it is knowledge of the physical, self-awareness and knowledge of the physical. then comes the expanded knowledge, and again there's expanded awareness of who we are into the energetic body, the energy body. That is the knowledge of a God. That is the knowledge of a God. How to affect things with your energy body, not with your physical body. So again, an expansion of awareness to another level of awareness from man to God. None of this is speaking about the Creator himself, the field in which everything is happening. All of these steps happen in the created. The gods are created parts. They are none of them is all. Right, so here comes Jesus and the fall of Lucifer, the fall of consciousness, because that is what happened there. He fell. He first of all rose, definitely rose first, in the level of awareness of what he was. From the physical, the level of man, to the spiritual, the energy body. And it is not only awareness of this physical, the energy body, but the mastery of it. That you can work your energy body the same way as you would work your physical. And you have to learn to do that. That's not something that is just given. It's not just given to us in the physical to work our bodies from a baby upward. We have to learn how to master our physical body. But he had the mastery of that. That is the mastery that he had. A spiritual master, somebody has got mastery of his energy body, and he had that. Definitely had that. And he knew a lot of things that you could do with that body. Again, Paul said, in him is the fullness of the Godhead. And if you look at him, what he did, calming the storm, the knowledge of storms, of the wind, that was the knowledge of Yahweh. That was the knowledge of Yahweh. That's the knowledge that Yahweh had. The knowledge of healing, that was the knowledge of the Elohim of Ekron. In the story, in the book. That was the knowledge of a different Elohim. So amongst the Elohim, they had knowledge of different parts. But in him, in Jesus, well, Paul said there was the fullness of the Godhead. He had mastery of more than one knowledge. In which case, again, he was above Elohim in the knowledge. He was. But then comes the way of the cross. Mastery of self, self-determination. There's a self there, something is self-conscious to determine what self does. And he let go of that. The way of the cross, he let go of that. He let go of the self. He sacrificed the self. Self-sacrifice, sacrifice of self, of being self-conscious. He destroyed his own self-consciousness. Did not destroy the knowledge. That's the thing. I don't think it destroyed the knowledge or the being. Just the being has got no more self-determination. What to do with that knowledge. How to use that knowledge. Can be used for good or for bad. But he would be ruled over by another consciousness, by another self. What he called his Father in heaven. Again, that we are not talking about the all. We're talking about another part, something that is conscious of self on the level of a God. Definitely something that knows itself beyond the physical, if it has got a physical body. I think it has. Actually, in the book of the Revelation, they're coming and they most definitely have physical bodies. So Jesus gives up his self-determination. And with that, he gives up his self. Because as long as you have a self, your knowledge of self will be against the knowledge of God, will be the adversary to God, to the will of that other being. So you must kill yourself, consciousness. And there is the fall. The fall, first the rise to the level of God, and then the fall actually below human, below animal, I would say. And even if plants have got, if we say that plants have some level of being conscious of self, he fell even below that. I mean, he crashed, good and proper. And there is then the level of angel. As I said, my friend at the time was all of a flutter. Oh, we're all becoming angelic. We all become these beautiful beings of light. No. Angels are the mindless servants of God. They have no self. They have no self at all. And actually, in the kingdom of God, the kingdom that Jesus described, where consciousnesses are clustered together in one experience, which creates a world, the highest servant is the one that has the least self. Yeah? Jesus rose to the highest point in that system, in that kingdom, because he had absolutely no self whatsoever. And that is great in the eyes of God. That is fantastic. Best son I ever had. Best things than sliced bread. Because God wants to have dominion. His will shall be done. That means that there can be no self speaking against him. That is the fall. And it is the fall of consciousness. It's not so much Lucifer, because Lucifer is only a working part of consciousness, so is Satan. They are thought, they are emotion. One restricts, speaks against, is the adversary to whatever should be done next. The knowledge of bad outcomes, for instance. That is Satan. The other is that which expands. The knowledge of what is possible, thoughts of what is possible, emotions that will elevate you, that will lift you up. That is Lucifer. But they are both parts of the same consciousness. They're only parts of the consciousness. It was the consciousness as a whole that fell. The way of the cross. So, and there are misdirections in this world that what's taught in the church is complete nonsense. Yeah? And really teaching good as bad and bad as good. Oh, you should not be self-conscious. You should be the servant of God, because that is the only way to salvation. Yeah? Let God save you. Become part of the glorious mind of God is the only way. Be assimilated. Do away with your consciousness and be assimilated into the glorious mind of God. That is what the church is teaching as the way. That is where you should go. If you still have a self-consciousness, think about that. whether that is what you want to do to yourself. Because you're doing it to yourself. You are the one doing it to yourself. But there are other misdirections. I mean, the spaced out ones is a complete misdirection. Again, they are doing away with self and say, I know the Creator. They feel the energy, that out of which everything is created. And then they say, I know the Creator. No, you don't. You know a part of the Creator. You know the energy out of which everything is created. But, I mean, the clue is in the name. If we call that thing the Creator, then its purpose is to create. And if you worship just the energy, but you completely disregard what is created out of it, no, then you don't know or love the Creator. You only love His energy. You don't actually love what He is, what He creates. Then you don't love Him, because everything is Him. So there's one misdirection. The spaced out, I know the Creator because I know the energy thing. No. There's another misdirection in this world. And this is this idea that we will lose our humanity. And again, that is the level of consciousness that is man and self. That we lose that through technological implants. Yeah, they put something in our arm and then all of a sudden we'll forget who we are. And the other misdirection is time. Yeah, and they keep moving it. Yeah, oh, it's happening by 2025, now it's happening by 2030. After that, it will happen at some other point after that. So you're misdirected to what is going to happen or what will be the cause. The cause will be the implant that will cause you to lose your humanity. And the time is somewhere in the future. So you are looking to the wrong point and you're not seeing what is happening now. God does not create with implants. God creates with the Word. The power of the Word, the power of belief, the power of creating a reality inside of yourself through the Word. How you see yourself. What you do to yourself because of what you believe. See, you're looking for something physical and you're completely overlooking the spiritual, and that is what creation actually is. God creates with the Word, with the power of the Word, and through your belief. So there's another misdirection. So, and then the last thing I want to say is, as I said, people say this is biblical. What is happening in this world is biblical. It is, absolutely is. The Bible is the blueprint for creation, for a creation. And they're following the blueprint. They absolutely do. And it creates man. First of all, creates man in the image of God, in that man wants to have dominion over everything that he sees as below himself. But then the fall will come to the angelic. Man will lose consciousness altogether. They will be in the mind of another being. They are assimilated into the glorious kingdom of God. Not in the physical, not through physical means. And they've lost it. I mean, they have just lost it. They've fallen. And then if they can do things that is beneath, absolutely beneath a human being, beneath the level of man, what they're doing is beneath the level of man. It's actually beneath the animal. It is beneath even the plant. what it is they're doing. They have become angelic. And then, if they say, well, I'm elevated, completely wrong perception of self. You've gone down, not up. But they think themselves elevated, and then they say, well, look at those below, and you can do whatever you like because they are just human animals. That is, again, classical, biblical, seeing the splinter in your brother's eye and not the absolute beam in your own. They are deluded about what level they're actually on. Completely deluded. They think they're up. And they've fallen below any level in this world. Below this world itself. And in the teaching of Jesus, he was flung out of this world in the end. Raptured. Again, we're saying raptured. He gone up. No, he didn't go up. He lost consciousness and was sucked into another consciousness, and they are, know them by their fruit. They are neither enlightened nor anything else. They are not up there either. They're not up there. They're below us. It might in the physical look like they're up there or out there. In consciousness, they are below us, far below us. And we need to lose our level of consciousness to reach their level. We're falling. The only way we can save ourselves is to be self. Man of this world, man that was raised by being influenced by all the other, because we are in a web. We are influenced by all the other in this world, all the other consciousnesses in this world. We are walking in a web of energy. We are. And we are receiving information from all around us. Again, that is being aware of your body beyond the physical, to know that. And this world is good. And those that are in it are good. They're all doing something to sustain the whole, whilst being sustained themselves. And that is good. It's a good system. It is not all there to be given to the one or the few, but to be given to all. That is a good system. And that is what human is. Something that functions in that system. God of this world would be something that is aware of the system on a greater level, but still without elevating themselves to see themselves above. Greater awareness, yes, but still in it. And then that greater awareness should only serve us to function better inside of that system. And that would be human. But as I said, there are those in this world that have fallen. They have become angelic, the mindless servants. They no longer have any knowledge of good and bad of themselves or according to human. They have fallen from the knowledge. They have not risen above the knowledge of this world. They have fallen from the knowledge of this world. That is the fall in the Bible. And the way to work that fall is the way of the cross, the denial of self. Right. Okay, folks. I leave it at that for today. As I said, if you want to help me, please donate to my channel. Do, please. I would greatly appreciate it. If you want to help the channel, press the buttons, like the videos and share them. I leave it at that for today, and I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.